Well, hello, welcome today for my explanation about the simple past. Today we're going to learn how we use the simple past and for what situations. So basically, what I'm saying here is that we use the simple past to talk about events or situations that happened before now. So it can be a very recent event in time, or it can happen. It could happen, I don't know, like 20 years ago, right, or more. The important thing is that this event happened before now. This event needs to be finished. That's one of the important things here. It needs to be finished. So it will be talking about a specific moment in the past, like for example, last year I went to Cancun, right, for my holidays, or it can talk about for how long an action took place. For example, like we lived in the United States for 8 years, right? But it's the simple past tense. So it can be a specific moment in time or the duration of an event in the past, but this action needs to have finished. Okay, so if we have a timeline to explain these two possibilities, then this timeline would be, we have an indefinite past here, and we have the present moment here. And the example that I used about my holidays in Cancun would be this, right? Like last year, I went to Cancun for my holidays, right? It's a specific moment in the time, in the past, and that action is already finished. Here, this other timeline, we have the past, we have the present here, but we're talking about the duration of an event, like with the example that I was explaining later, like we lived in the United States for 8 years. So it means that during 8 years, we lived in the United States. The action started in the past, but also the action finished in the past. It's concluded. In this moment, I am living in a different place. I am living in Santa Marta, for example, right? So those would be like the two moments to use the simple past. Okay, this is related to the use. Now, I'm going to start talking about a little bit about the structure itself. So it is important to say that we have two types of verbs when it's related to the simple past. We have regular verbs and we have irregular verbs. With the regular verbs, you just need to add, in an affirmative sentence, you just need to add ed at the end of the word. For example, my parents called me yesterday. Yes, so the original verb is call, but in the past tense, I add ed. So my parents called me yesterday, and this is the time marker here. This is with the regular verbs, you just add ed. Yeah? There is an important pronunciation issue here, but I will explain this in a different video or in a different moment in class. Irregular verbs, they don't follow any rule. They are completely independent. And they change, basically most of the time they change a vowel sound. But the word is changed. Here, the original verb is not changed, but in the irregular verbs, the word changes, the root changes. Because in the present tense, you know this verb, wake up, right? To wake up. In the past tense, it changes for an O, right? So the original word is going to change. It becomes woke up. So an example here for this is, she woke up early this morning, right? So it means that it's the afternoon, and I'm talking about a past event this morning, but the morning is finished. So these would be two examples for affirmative sentences. Now, In the case of negative sentences, how do we form a negative? The same example, but in the negative would be, my parents didn't call me yesterday. So you need to focus that I underlined did not, the contraction didn't, and I have the verb in its original form, call. Because already here we have the past tense. This did is marking the past tense, so I can leave the verb as it is. Now, for the second example, in a negative form, we could say that I changed the pronoun here. In this case is she, in this case is I, right? I didn't wake up early today, right? Again, here I'm marking the past tense and I have the verb as it is, wake up. I didn't wake up early today, yes? Now, another thing to remember is that you must remember me telling you about the third person singular rule, which is that in the present the verb changes. It changes in the simple present. In the past tense, it doesn't change. You don't need to conjugate the verb, So this is why I use these two examples. With she, you see, she woke up and I didn't wake up, right? But in any of these cases, or my parents didn't call me, you see, third person, in any of these cases, the verb changes. You don't need to add anything as in the present, right? So the verb is always going to be working the same. You just have to remember that in the present tense, you use only the verb with ed or the regular form of the past tense, and in the negative form, you just need to add didn't, okay, before the verb, of course. Now for questions. We have both types of questions that we already know, yes or no questions and information questions. So as usual, in the first case, we start with the auxiliary did, which is in the past tense, the subject, your parents, the verb call in the normal form, let's say, and the complement. So did your parents call you yesterday? Yes, they did. Or no, they didn't. Now, information questions, we have the first section, which is related to the WH word. In this case, I want to ask what time, right? So I use what time did you wake up today? It's the same structure, you just add this section of the WH word. So what time did you wake up today? I give detailed information in this case, like I woke up at 7 in the morning today, right? And in the answer, I just use the normal affirmative sentence. I woke up at 7 in the morning today. So what you will be doing after this explanation is some exercises, and you also need to learn the regular verbs by heart. You need to use your memory to remember the verb in the present tense and the verb in the past tense, the corresponding verb in the past tense. There is no other way. You need to do that, but I will help you with some memory exercises, and you just need them. You just need to learn them from memory. Okay, so this is the end of the explanation for the simple past. If you have any questions, then you can ask me during class and we will practice more. Okay, so thank you for your attention and see you next class. Bye.